Deviant, Dr. Tran, and that guy whose name I forgot.
Dave.
Dave. So give it up for these guys.
What's on? It says on. It's switched to on. It doesn't have a light that's on. Test, test, test. There is no light.
That is going to be loud.
Yeah, it's going to be loud. Thank you. Oh my god. No? I mean, I'm really fucking loud, but it won't get really recorded unless we just hand off. Ooh, yeah, let's just do that.
Please no.
How about that instead? All right, we're all still here? Go back. There we go. Yes! Welcome, CarolinaCon. You're one of my favorite places to be. I brought Dave last year. He had a completely good time. We had to show Dr. Tran the same love. So if you see him at a party, just feel free to just jump on him, kiss him, hug him, yank his pants off, make him feel welcome. Yeah, we are here to talk about all kind of crazy handcuff stuff. We do a lot of lockpicking work, and this kind of gets folded in usually as like an afterthought, like ha ha ha, isn't it funny to do handcuff things? I can be silly at a party. But it actually, what we're going to talk about tonight ends up having some really, really cool law enforcement implications in the second half of the talk. But the first half is going to be just a whole balls out laugh fest. Starting with something that I've kind of created. What's that?
And apparently a drink fest.
Well, this is something I envisioned, and I invite you to all participate. If you ever give a talk, I came up with a new protocol for interpersonal reaction. Well, if you've ever been to NeighborCon, Travis has the fin protocol, the fuck you neighbor. If you ever have to ask a question and fuck you neighbor back is the response. Well, this is the you drink protocol. And I like the idea of sharing drinks and sharing things with others. So the way it works is you have a drink you really like. You make it right on stage at the start of your talk and draft it up for you and your fellow speakers. Because, unlike, winging schmooballs at us, if you shout at us because we did something wrong or dumb, we have to drink. It works right there on that level because we like that. But after the talk is over and the drinks are gone, there's still other drinks to be had because we will draft more of these. And if you ask us particularly good questions, or if you get out of cuffs, or you do, I don't know, show me your balls or something, then you drink. So it's you telling you drink us, and I say you drink you. So yeah, I encourage this. You can have these graphics for your talks if you'll actually make drinks on stage and share your love of something with other people. And if you're like a little bit short on a talk, it pads it out by like 3 minutes. Isn't that nice? So what is today's drink? I'm going to share one with you. Today's drink is called a Stone Fence. It's one of my favorite cocktails that you can never get in a bar because it features Applejack. Applejack's one of the oldest American liquors. It was a favorite of George Washington and some other folk. The Stone Fence is 1 part Applejack, which is essentially an apple whiskey. It's kind of like an apple brandy. 1 part Applejack, 3 parts hard apple cider.
Tell me you're going to drink it straight out of the pitcher.
And you can top that up if you want to with a little bit of bitters, because bitters makes every cocktail much nicer. There is an advanced version if you're going for extra credit. It's called equal parts Applejack and apple cider. I call that a stone wall. So that's only for the people who are really trying to be too cool for school. But can somebody grab this pitcher and make sure we have glasses at the ready? Because if we look like fools, believe us, we'll be drinking for you. But on to handcuffs. This is why you're here. You're here to hear really cool handcuff stuff. And we have a lot of good stories to tell, starting with Dave, who is going to fill us in on, I'm watching the sound line here, stories about some of our friends in Europe that if you haven't heard, you should hear these stories because they're great.
Have any of you guys ever seen this guy before, right? Any other cons? He's mostly from Europe. He's from a group called SS Dev, which is our counterpart in Germany. He gave a really excellent talk about handcuffs, getting out of them, all things handcuffs at the Last Hope, if any of you guys were there. But he tends to do some very interesting things. Probably has the most vast handcuff collection of anybody that I have seen, or that we know. But good guy. This is a sample of said collection. He was at HAR with us. Did any of you guys make it out to HAR over in the Netherlands? Hacking a random? Anybody?
Oh, you got a con?
Oh, excellent con. If you can make it to any con overseas every 4 years, awesome con. So we got a Ray's collection here. This is a particular cuff that is used widely by the Dutch police and is vulnerable to something that will surprise you, I hope. Okay, they're not going to show. We'll show it later on. Ray was able to do 2 things with this cuff. One of them is duplicate the key on a rep wrapper machine. Do you guys know the rep wrap? anything where it duplicates anybody doesn't know. You can duplicate anything with basically polymer to mold and cut. So he's able to duplicate a handcuff key using that and try it out with one of the Dutch police. Through a bunch of social engineering, finally they're like, okay, fine, just try it. Here's a handcuff, we'll do it. And this is that key right there. And this is actually going to be able to open multiple types of cuffs. And that's all plastic, completely functional. You can go through a metal detector with it. Nobody's going to be able to tell that you have it. And that's it. That's the regular key.
Yeah, Google, it's a great story.
Works perfectly, just like the original metal key. Now this is, are you?
Yeah, scroll right over the image and click.
Cool.
This is another thing about those keys, though. About those cuffs. They have another major crazy weakness that somebody finally publicized. Just double click.
That is a piece of paper.
So yeah, that's what we call bad. That's bad. But the thing is, that's not really like a crazy attack. It's not a really weird thing. Most heavy handcuffs, like big, bulky, heavy-duty handcuffs, they're not designed to be pick-proof or shim-proof. They're not designed for finesse attack. They're designed to keep big people from snapping them or from moving around easily. They're almost like kind of the old leg irons from the Victorian age, that kind of thing. They're not designed to be intricate. So that kind of attack, you can do with a lot of cuffs. You can bypass your way and pick your way out of a lot of heavy freaking cuffs really easily. A German company, Clauso, these are the Model 13s. This is one of their biggest cuffs ever made. Many of you have actually seen these cuffs. If you're a sci-fi fan, when River Tam went bananas from the Odie Bar commercial and they had to knock her out and lock her up on Serenity, that's the cuffs that Malcolm Reynolds uses on the spaceship to keep her locked down, the Clauso 13s. And we have some. You can play with them. You can play with them here. You can, if someone's a skinny Asian girl, you can play River Tam tonight at party. I don't know. But it's the same kind of deal. Like picking, just getting out of these kind of cuffs, not really hard. Bunk, And you can't really see it in the video, but all our buddy Ed is holding is just a little nub of metal. It's, barely bigger than a cuff key. So big cuffs, just because they look mean and intimidating, they're not, really hard to get out of. That paper trick that you just saw, you can do that with these too. I'm going to try to do that right now, and hopefully I won't look really foolish.
Or you'll be drinking.
Or I'll be drinking, yes. But I won't just be participating in this next attack. See, we're going to try a lot of different live escapes during this talk. Some of them on camera, some of them just in front of you here. But to make it interesting, we have a game. This could be such a bad idea. It's obviously no doubt that handcuffs are sexy. We all know this. So a sexy contest that we have for you is going to be called Guess the Porno Music. We're going to play musical tracks from not like modern, Naughty Nurses 37 that's all cranked out with no production values. Golden age of porn, late 70s, early 80s porn. You have to guess the porno track before we actually succeed in what we're doing. And if you guess it right, we've got drinks for you, we've got cuff keys, we'll give out a lot of free shit. But it's all up to you. And no, Deep Throat is not one of the songs, because the soundtrack was actually pretty lame in that movie. It's unfortunate.
You watch porn for the sound?
There's a lot of sounds. So all right, I'm going to try this. And maybe this is going to be a complete train wreck. We're going to have Dave and Dr. Tran just raise your hand. Don't just scream too much. If you think you know it, maybe you can try to guess what song this is before, what movie it's from, before I can get out of these cuffs. Are you ready? All right, let's see what we can do here. What happened? Oh, you have to be on camera to have it play? Oh, that's lame. All right, well, I'll just do it in front of you. What do you think it is? Start guessing. Call them.
Sure.
Behind the green door.
No, that is not right.
Debbie got us down!
Oh, who said that?
Oh.
Was in fact Debbie Does Dallas, so well done, the last speaker, yes! So So excellent. And he got out before I even got that open. That was nice.
I wanted to let you know I used to live in Fort Collins where they had the famous donut shop, Debbie Does Donuts.
Oh, very nice.
I didn't work there.
Very good. We'll have more of those for you. You can all keep guessing pretty soon. We'll have more of those. But if big, heavy handcuffs, and I don't know if you saw, I mean, we just popped that in no time. You can try this. Please try it later. If big, heavy handcuffs aren't that good, well, what makes smaller handcuffs preferred? Why are they, how do they work? What's the engineering behind them? Well, Dr. Tran is going to give you a look at what's actually going on inside of most handcuffs you may be seeing and using, and you'll learn a little bit more about them too. Doctor?
Hello? Good. So, how does a handcuff work? It's actually pretty simple. There's not much going on. You have this ratcheting arm here, and then you have a paw here with also ratchets. And then you have a spring, and then a double locking bar. So when you close a handcuff, this ratcheting arm goes in and clicks only one way, but not the other direction. So if you have a wrist in there, you can clamp down, but you can't get out. Now when you double lock a handcuff, the handcuff can't get any tighter either. Basically, this green bar gets pushed inward and interferes with the paw, so the handcuff can't get any tighter or any looser. And you actually need a key to undo the double lock. That's pretty much how a handcuff works. It's pretty simple.
Just talk through it one last time.
Sure. Here's a video of the demonstration. You can see the ratcheting arm going in, the paw clicking, and you can't pull it out because of the teeth. Now all a key does is just leverages the paw and pushes it out of the way. So you can pull the arm out.
It's not complicated. What's going on in there is not hard. See, Hollywood gets a lot of lockpicking really wrong. Like people like, oh, I'm going to open this door by sneezing on it. But when TV shows and stuff show someone with a hairpin and a paper clip, that's pretty real. That's also real, what you can do, called a shimming attack, even easier.
So what you're doing is you're sticking a thin piece of metal in towards the point where the arm and the paw meets from this direction. And you just push down to get some leverage on the paw to force it down and out of the way. And then you can just pull the arm out.
Yeah. Really quickly, we'll show the double lock again, so they all understand.
And here's a video of a handcuff being double locked. As you can see, currently the double locking arm is not in the way, and a key works perfectly fine. But when you double lock it, you push this metal bar in the way, the key no longer works.
Nothing. Well, shimming won't work, picking won't work.
What does work?
What does work, you're about to see. Coming around the other way, we'll kick it back out. Gentleman has a question also here.
How is I didn't see how the actual double lock was.
Different models have different methods of doing it. Some are a lever, some are just a little hole. You might be able to see this little circle here.
Put it up here, yeah.
There's actually a pin on the end of handcuff keys. That's what it's for. You stick it in, and it pushes the metal bar across.
You got a cuff key laying around?
Yes.
That's a few, right?
Here's a Peerless.
So yeah, can everyone see there's a little dot right on there? And now it's double locked. It will not move at all. Until I come in and come around. Actually, I can't come in and come around because of this Peerless key. That's something we'll talk about in a minute. We'll just talk about it in a minute. Now, if you're really badass, or really thin, right there, as you can see, Dr. Tran, can I have this? Yes. Dr. Tran's a really fine-looking man. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
And Dave is equally dead sexy. I don't exactly hit the gym all the time, but someone who has us all beat is Renderman. Has anyone seen Renderman around DEF CON or anything? Yeah. Renderman is so skinny that he can actually do this. Instead of learning how to, manipulate cuffs and everything else, and I'm going to pop into his behind the back thing, he can just kind of get him a little bit pushed on his wrist and go zip, 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 pow! If you do that later tonight, you get like 2 beers. So, just so you know, we're not lying to you. We're gonna do the things we just talked about. We're gonna pick out of some cuffs. We're gonna shim out of some cuffs, and you're gonna guess more porno names, right? Are you ready? Are you still have your thinking hats on? You still have your drinking mouths on? All right, for shimming attacks, you have a pair, you have a pair, I have a pair. Come on, stand up and grab a pair. Grab that. Take that. Take some wrenches. All right. So you're gonna get a whole lot of time because all three of us will have to shim out before you can actually guess the porno. And we want to see hands, or just start madhouse shouting it, whatever. It's CarolinaCon. Cuffs on. Oh yeah, where's the key that'll pop that? Because we have to unset that double lock that we were in.
You can actually double lock.
The shim out? No, you get to be badass man in a minute, sir. This dude is jumping ahead. So, we'll go right down the line. I'll pop, you'll pop, Dave will pop. All right. Prepare to guess, and prepare for us to look silly. Now, show of hands. What is this? Come on. What movie is it? Someone said it earlier.
Behind the Green Door.
Behind the Green Door is right. Jesus Christ. These people act like they're all Bible Belt, not porno and stuff, friggin'.
Not that.
Come on up, you win a drink and a prize, yes. Still working the shim attack over here. You can take a free cuff key, sir. Pull one out of there. You can have the rest of a cider, too. See, you win shit. Just, we know you know tons of vintage porn names. Just brute force the contest. Just guess them all. That was, of course, the lovely Marilyn Chambers behind the Green Door. Yeah, sorry, just keep it. So yes, shimming, incredibly, incredibly easy. Equally easy, though, is that whole picking attack. Just sticking something in the keyway and jamming down on the pawl. As you see, the tip of a cuff key, I should be in the mic. I'm sorry, I'm fucking up the recording so badly.
Drink.
Drink? The tip of a cuff key is not a complicated affair. It's just a little, little blade. You can get a lot of things stuck in the keyway of a cuff and jam down that pawl and pop it off. I think they're going to drink in a second. Pull the shim out. Oh, there you go. All right, cool.
Cheers.
Let's launch it. Just those valors are so gone, dude.
No, this country is too big. It doesn't fit. He's jammed.
It's too big, so that's a problem. That's
I get a drink. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right. So Dr. Tran is also one of our killer picking out of cuff guys. He's going to demo a couple picking attacks. We'll try too, but we'll look foolish. But so we're not the only ones. You'll be foolish as well. Keep guessing as we try to pick our way out of cuffs. Yet another song. I want to hear it. To give you a hint, this was a John Holmes classic, an old detective story. Can you guess as we're picking? What was that? No, that is not correct. He played, I think, Johnny Law. Pick out one side. Keep guessing.
Double lock.
I'm going to be out of these before they're even in them. Come on, great early 70s funky beat. He had to find this rare artifact on the streets of San Francisco. No takers, no winners. They'll have to win something else later. That was the Jade Pussycat. Come on. I sucked that I didn't burn a CD. I downloaded all these films, and they were going to be the grand prize for anyone who got out of the really hard cuffs. They're at home, but if you get out of the awesome cuffs we show you later, you will have them all. It's my gift to you.
Tell us more about the plot so that we have.
Tell us more about the plot? Yes. I don't remember the plot for some reason very well. It escapes me. Are you single or double locked? Because we're going to... Oh, all right. So Tran has already jumped ahead of a little bit. He is actually going to pop out of double locked handcuffs before you guess this title. He has a whole minute to do this. A little extra time.
Devil and Miss Jones.
No.
I'm just going to start Wikipedia old
Yes.
porn.
These all came from one album that's released. It's all porn tracks. It's a great album.
Let's see.
Come on, I know you know who's in this. And then Kay Adams was in this. It was a very controversial film when it came out.
Taboo.
Oh my God, the man gets in. Who said taboo? Come on up, sir. As Tran is, you beat the man who is our double lock champion. You get a free drink, give him a cuff key as well. Excellent job. I told you guys this is going to be talking sillier than my last one. All right. So, and Tran is going to get it. We're going to yell at him if he doesn't in a minute. But while he's there, you guys have just witnessed us like blasting through all these cuffs, and you might be wondering, well, even the double lock, even whatever, how are cuffs this lousy? Are all cuffs this lousy? The answer is no. Not all cuffs suck this badly. There are better quality cuffs. There are cuffs that are made really well.
That's not.
The most common thing is making a cuff with really tight tolerances. If you make a handcuff that you can't slip shims and other tools into very easily, it completely frustrates most of these attacks. We can try to get out of them. I will try to pick my way out of a Smith & Wesson set of cuffs. Smith & Wesson, Peerless, those are two really nice brands, unlike some of the kind of the cheapo cuffs we've been practicing with right now. They're much tighter, they're much harder. The only real way to get in there, you're not going to shim them. You can probably pick them through the keyway, but that's all you're going to be able to do. So one more guess, one more film. I know there's a few people that are going to just take home all the gold. There's like a talent pool of porn knowledge that is smoking the competition. Start your guesses while I make a fool of trying to get out of these Smith & Wesson cuffs. Listen to the synth. It's very late 70s, early 80s. Ron Jeremy was in this picture, if that helps. No, that is not it. What was that? Eruption, no, but that is on the same album that these songs came from.
I didn't know it.
You watch way too much porn, sir.
When you run a credit-based FTP site, people will upload everything to get download credits. So I'm halfway out. Someone almost might have had it. That was the Ron Jeremy classic, Amanda by Night.
This is double lock. Dr. Tran Schmidt.
Dr. Tran gets out of the double lock. Let's hear it. So even if, I just put them back on one side because it's a fashion statement, why not? Don't go through the airport like this, they'll scratch their heads. So even if, regular style cuffs can still be picked if they're, quote, high quality, how do you make psycho high quality cuffs? There are a few manufacturers making really, really badass cuffs. How's our time, by the way? What do we got here? Oh, sweet. Halfway in? Bang it. There are some manufacturers that make really interesting things that are hard not only to shim with tight tolerances, but really hard to pick, too. The most common way that happens is by splitting the pawl into multiple segments. So imagine a little paper clip or something going in there. You're not going to trip the entire pawl. You might catch part of it, but not all of it. The Hyatt's cuffs that are popular overseas, here in the US, some tactical teams use ASPs, the old Chicago cuffs as well. They all have this split pawl. I have some cuffs from Korea, Pyeongchang, which I learned from one of my Korean friends, just means handcuff. That's the company name. They have a triple split pawl, so it's really wide. It's really hard to depress all of the blades at once. My favorite cuffs, absolute favorite cuffs, which I turned all these guys onto. They all bought pairs of them. By another Korean company called TOOOL's. Holy Korean badassery. Look and properly appreciate the love that I have for these freaking cuffs. Not only is it a split pawl, the pawls are buried down in these little chambers that you really can't get to from either angle. It's incredibly hard to get in there. Running between them is a blocking blade of metal that's actually crimped to the side on each end on the front so you can't slip shims in and depress down with a shim. It's really, really nuts. There's even a ledge on the back end of the body so you can't slip in the other way. The new version has something you can't even see. It's got a ratcheting wheel right in the front that just jams anything you try to jam into there. It's really, really sick. Where is, do I have my TOOOL set that has the wheel? That has the wheel on it? Let me, the silicone one. So yeah, can we see right in the front, there's actually a little wheel right up in here. And it's just gorgeous. I don't work for this company. They don't send me free shit. But they're just really, really beautiful cuffs. They're really well made, and I appreciate them, and they're lovely. They're the prize for the Gringo Warrior contest that I run at DEF CON and ShmooCon every year and shit like that. And these, by the way, were the only cuffs at ShmooCon this year that completely were able to frustrate the DC 949 guys who are big into cuff picking. Like they're just, yeah, bring it on, I'll put 9 of them on my arm and get out of them. And CP blows through all of them, could not get the ULs. Nobody could get the ULs. They are really, really sweet. So that's my little spiel about if you're actually in law enforcement, there are really cool cuffs. You might have to find them overseas. But if you're in law enforcement or just a fetish enthusiast, I don't know. There's something that kind of comes into play. When you get all these really weird variations in the design of cuffs, you can run into some trouble. The more we start tinkering with the basic cuff style, you start to get incompatibilities, especially as far as keys are concerned. For example, one of the cuffs we were in earlier, you saw us fishing for, that key won't work, I need the other key. What was that? Well, we were in a pair of cuffs called Valor. They're kind of cheap cuffs. They're, an average knockaround brand. But the cuff body is really thin. There's a standard shape for every handcuff key, but there's no standard size per se. So the body is this thin. Most handcuff blades, the blade is really wide. So you can see that, if you jam this all the way in the keyhole, it's not going to turn because part of the blade is hitting the body. Does that make sense? So some companies have actually manufactured what they call, we have universal keys, high tolerance keys, very high compatible keys. You can buy these, quote, universal keys. They're usually cuff keys that have had the blade cut down a little bit, or blades that were just so small during manufacturing they didn't pass quality control. And somebody's like, we'll sell them for cheap, and we'll call them universal. And yeah, that works really well on most basic cuffs, including Valors, including these no-name brands that don't have the right sizing. Where you start to run into trouble, though, remember those multiple pawl, high security cuffs. If you have a blade that is too small and you stick it in a cuff with multiple pawls, it might not trip all of the pawls. It's kind of blurry, but can you kind of see that? Some of them are going down, some of them aren't, especially these Kong-Changs because they're so wide. I've gotten the blade jammed in between 2 different pawls, one of which went down, one of which didn't, and then these cuffs are known to just eat keys. Question?
Are there 3 different springs in there for each of
The
those?
question is, are there 3 different springs? There are not. That is how people think they might attack the ULs. If you can get one of them down and hold the cuff like this, it might shake the other ones into position. There are not multiple springs, because that would just make a complete fucking mess. Unless they extended that blocker blade all the way through everything, spring and pawl, the whole assembly. Maybe UL will do that. UL is a company that I love in the marketplace because they're not content to just be awesome. They want to always refine their product. So we understand, let me turn this video off. We understand how that can run you into trouble. So your blade just, you can't have a key blade that's just too small. That will not solve all your problems. So TOOOL, we kind of had an idea. We said, all right, I've been curious about this for a while. And when I asked the guys in the forums, I said, look, has anyone else ever wondered about this problem? They said, yeah, that's really interesting. So I said, all right, everybody, for the Christmas meeting, for the last meeting of the year in 2009, everyone bring all your cuffs. We'll meet at Ed's lock shop. He has an awesome collection. Everyone brought all their collections. We just dumped every handcuff we freaking owned, which was a lot of them on a table. We had a lot of oddball-looking keys. I had no idea that some of these foreign manufacturers, those big Clayusos and all, they're weird-looking keys. But I was interested in all of the quote, standard handcuff keys we had. I said, there's got to be variation here. There's got to be every manufacturer is a little bit different. And I said, hey, Dr. Tran, you have that digital caliper, which you brought with you here, right?
Yes.
I said, will you do me a solid and just bring this? Because I have an interesting idea. I said, yeah, fuck yeah, man, sure. And I just sat there just measuring keys, just measuring all of the cuff keys in every dimension I could conceive. A cuff key basically has a shaft with an inner and outer dimension, and that blade, the blade is going to have an overall rise, and it's going to have a certain width. And I said, I wonder exactly across the industry, across the world, what kind of variation we're talking about. Some of those crazy split pawl levers that have blocking pieces, some of them have split blades. So I said, all right, we'll measure that too. And we just plotted all the data. We just said, all right, what is the biggest, what is the tallest, what is the smallest, what is the standard deviation, what is the average range, who is the weird guy out, who is the outlier, who's the typical. And we found some really fascinating things. We said, damn, looking at all this data, I wonder, is there possibly even any type of ideal key that would just work in everything? And as far as we can tell, yeah, There is an ideal key that no one has ever made, but yeah, it freaking exists. So now, there was a little bit of applause, nice applause there, they like us, but save your applause for after this video, because this is what we ended up making at the end of the meeting. There'll be sound in a minute. So, Pyeongchang triple cuff. Peerless colorized. Open. Peerless Model 700s. A little tough. What do we have there? Chicago's. Open. Winchesters. Venerable and reliable. Smith & Wesson's, everybody's favorite. Except for me, because I like the Yules. Hardest anti-shim. Bang. Valor. Easiest cuffs in the imaginative world. Bang. South African. Republic Arms. In. Even cuffs, they have to turn the other way. Weirdness. ASP. Tacticals. In and down. They have a weird split in their cuffs. Hyatt's. Hyatt speed cuffs.
Is that Applejack?
Yeah.
Yes.
RBS speed cuffs.
Open. And the big old Yule plastic. Kaboom, kaboom, right down the line. Excellent. And it wasn't that hard. It was just a matter of, measuring. And the thing that really, really blew me away, the thing that was so impressive, as I said, we were at a friend of ours who's a locksmith. We were at Ed's shop. He's the sweetest guy ever. And he's been in the trade forever, not just because he's good at it, because he loves it. He loves locks. He loves escape artistry and handcuffs. And all this stuff, like when I made that key, it was me doing math and measuring. And the same time I was doing that, Ed was just kind of looking. And he's like, oh, well, that's interesting. He's eyeballing stuff. And he's at his bench and he's filing. And he tries a few, oh, that's a little jammy. He's looking at it. He's like, oh, that left a mark on the left side. All right, I'll file that a little bit more. In the end, Ed just eyeballing it, using his skill as a locksmith who loves the craft, made a key that was within 1/10 of a millimeter of what I produced, just by fucking around. It was gorgeous. It was the most awe-inspiring thing I'd seen. It's someone who's just really, really committed to doing the job right. So I'm very proud of him, and we're very pleased to call him our friend. So if you want to make this key, pa-pow! There it is. And you don't have to go scribbling and taking screenshots. We're going to show it to you later. But the dimensions are really simple. The dimensions are easy to reproduce. We will let you try it. We will let you, try this later. TOOOL, as an organization, does actually, after doing all the research, we own and hold the patent on this. We Yeah, we just filed the provisional today. Actually, we were at the CarolinaCon shoot, and I was texting the lawyers and stuff. But yeah, so we will maybe license this to certain organizations who are nice if they want to make the keys. I know Nick DePetrillo, he's a really sweet guy who's a friend of the Paul.com crew. He makes a lot of good handcuff stuff. His dad makes really cool cuffs. He's interested in trying to make this available to certain law enforcement, and we will license it for people who we think will be responsible. But beyond the licensing, the commercial side, we really believe in fair use. As a nonprofit group, TOOOL has no problem with you guys making these on your own. If you want to make them, please do and use them. We will show you some really neat tips about it because it's so fucking easy. If you want to make this cuff design, if you want to make this cuff key design, and you don't obviously own a foundry and a factory and a forge, and you don't have access to crazy industrial processes, it's actually really trivial to do this. Why do I say that? Well, let's take a look at using a handcuff key as a base, as a starting point, right? The ultimate key has a blade width that is 2.9 millimeters wide. So that immediately knocks out the Valor and some of those no-name brands that are too skinny. So you're not going to be able to use those cheap ones. It also has a blade to reach deep enough and to catch the pawls on some international cuffs. It has to be a pretty tall blade. 5.5 millimeters tall eliminates your use of many styles of popular American handcuff keys. In fact, the only one, aside from some Korean cuffs overseas, is the Smith & Wesson. The shaft also can't be quite big. The main Yule is too big of a shaft, so you're not going to be able to use that one. Inner diameter doesn't matter. Let's be honest. The little peg in the middle of that handcuff keyway, it's never that big. We call it 2829, that doesn't matter much. But you're ultimately left looking at either Kyungchang's or Smith & Wesson. Now you can order Kyungchang's. There's some nice, Handcuff Warehouse and those guys at Buckstaff Industries. They'll ship international stuff to you. But Smith & Wesson you're much more likely to have. And between the two of these, look how much metal you have to sit there shaving off a Kyungchang. You have to knock it down. Seriously, the Smith & Wesson is right there. It's ready for you. A few really deep passes with a file or a Dremel, and then chop a split right down the blade, you will have it. Take a Smith & Wesson key, which many of you may have if you have law enforcement ties or if you're actually a sworn officer, who knows. You can do this. The Smith & Wesson key is the easiest thing to rock out. And we bought and brought a whole fucking bag of them. We want you to try this. Thank you. We have the calipers from Tran. I brought the Dremel. I brought the blades. We're going to set up the village next door. Tomorrow, you guys hanging out. You're going to come. If you want to make one of these, please try it. Please try it. Please do it. Test it on every cuff we brought, and it will work. I swear to you, it will work. And how many people think they're going to try it? Excellent. We don't have that many keys, so catch us and give us a back rub and you get the keys maybe. I don't know. We got like 50.
Drink for not having that many keys.
I should drink for not having that many keys.
Bring it all.
So thank you for coming out. Thank you for listening. Please, thank you tomorrow for trying it. This was a friggin' treat. Thank you so much.